Alright, so now I've cut my facing and I've added 0.5 inch all around. So remember, you need to add the 3 inches which we added for the extension of the facing. So now we want to start sewing this beautiful kaftan. So this is the back facing. I added 0.5. I kept this on fold. So I bring in my pattern. Like I said, we want to start off the sewing from the front piece. So I'm taking away all my pins and my patterns. So I'll come in with my facing for the front. I take off my facing as well. So I hasted my facing, so make sure you have interfacing on it for stability. So I'm going to place this on this, and I'll be going to the machine now to sew. So I'm pinning in a way I can sew, as you can see. So make sure you align the neckline, for that is the essence of the facing we created. So we'll make that part smooth and nice. So I'll keep pinning, and we are going to the machine now. I'll be showing you how to sew your facing for a perfect finishing. So this is it, and that is it. All right, people, so I've pinned this part and I'll take it off. So I'm going to repeat the same process, the right side of my fabric to the right side of the facing. So I'll be using the other facing to show you what I'm going to do right here. So we'll be sewing the front, then once we come back, we'll go over to the sewing of the back facing. So for the back facing, this is the back facing. Okay, so I just take this away. This is my back, the right side, and this is the facing. So I'll just take off my pins and my facing, and I'll simply lay the facing. Can you see? So you can see everything is matching up together. So for accuracy, you need to you need to trace out your facing. So I'm pinning only on the neckline, and that is what we are going to sew on the neckline. So I'll use my pin to hold it down before we sew. So let's go to the machine so we can start up the sewing of this kaftan. It's time for us to start sewing the front facing. And to start sewing the front facing, you can see here I have what we call hemming gum. Okay, so I love to sew my necklines, my facings. In fact, I love making use this hemming gum a lot. It helps in stabilizing my necklines. So of course you see how we are going to do this in this tutorial. So right now I'm going to sew on top of my pins. Okay, so I'm going to sew my facings right on top of my pins by placing my hemming gum. So this hemming gum now, I'm not going to start placing from the beginning because we'll still open up that part. You see how we are going to do that. So I'll just step down after 1 inch and I'll step out at 0.25. So I'm sewing at ½ inch. Can you see? So I'm sewing at ½ inch. So the ½ inch, I'm going to take the measurement of my ½ inch. I'm using the inner part of my tape, and there I can see I drop my presser foot. So I'm sewing the hemming gum after 1 inch, but my actual sewing is at ½ inch from the beginning. So this is it, ½ inch from the beginning. Can you see? All right, so I'll back stitch and I'll sew right on top of my hemming gum. The hemming gum will help to stabilize the neckline. So once I get to the curvy part, you can see how I'm folding it, so I'll be able to sew exactly on the hemming gum. So if you follow video instructions, you'll be able to get what I'm doing right here. So I'll also bend. So once I get to each curve, I'm going to bend the hemming gum. So it's not compulsory you must use your hemming gum. So if you feel like you don't want to use your hemming, it's okay, but I love to use it. So once you iron, the front facing stays, you know, relaxes for you without opening up, coming up, you know, as some facings does, because the hemming gum has the sticky, you know, it has a very sticky part. So the sticky part enables you to turn very appropriately. So this is it, and I'll back stitch. I've come to the end of it and I've back stitched. So I'll just cut off the excess hemming gum. So this process you see me have right here, that is what I'm going to repeat now for the other part of this neckline. So I'm taking off all my pins and I'm cutting off my thread as well. So if you look at this, you can see our stitching line followed exactly the curvy line. Very important. So I'm placing notches. You have to place notches. Very important. If you don't, you find it difficult to turn this curvy part. So the straight part does not have issues so much, just this area that you need to notch. So the next thing we are going to do is to top stitch. So in top stitching, this is how I do. I love to start my top stitching especially for this kind of curvy neckline from the hem and now run into the neckline. So I'm flipping all the seams. Can you see me flipping all my seams? Okay, right on the side of the facing. So once I do that, this is it. Can you see that I flip all my seams all on the facing part, and I'm going to top stitch right on top of it. So I drop my presser foot, I go, so top stitching will do the final job for you. Once you top stitch right now, you notice that your neckline relaxes for you. So I want to say something on the curvy neckline, because I've gotten to the curvy part. You need to open up the curvy part. You can see how I'm putting my hands. Okay, I'm flipping my seams to the side of the facing, but I'm opening up real well so you don't step on the curvy part. I'm doing this so at the end of the day you still maintain the curves. Okay, so I'm opening up real good. Okay, so I'm done sewing that curvy part, as you can see. So here I'm done. So the next thing I'll do now is to go over to my ironing table. So you can see the top stitches right now. The seams have been flipped. So I'll just go over to the neckline, bring them out, bring them out. I'll keep pushing out. Okay, so that is it. And I'm going to iron. So once I iron, you see the neckline, I maintain the neckline. So that is it. So I'm going to sew the back neckline for you to see. So coming over to the back. So this is the back neckline, which we have been pinning. So I'll complete my pinning process right here. I'll just complete the pinning process. Okay people, so that is it. Now I'll come back with the hemming gum. So I'll come back with the hemming gum. Remember, you place it after 1 inch, but you start sewing at 0.5. So I just place my presser foot, and I'm also going to check. Okay, this is 0.5. This is it. So I'm going to back stitch, and then so if you are sewing your facing at any point in time, ensure the facing takes the shape of your ensure your sewing takes the shape of your you drafted. Okay, so after 1 inch I'll cut off my hemming gum. All right, so I'm done sewing to the end right now. So I'm going to cut off all the pieces of my thread as usual. So I'll take off my pins, and you also place your notches. So you have to make sure you place your notches. So here I'm placing my notches accordingly. So next will be to flip my seams on the part of the back neckline. So I'm flipping the seams and I'm going to top stitch. So make sure you top stitch at any point in time. So you can see me top stitching right there. All right, so that is it, and that is exactly what we want to achieve right away. Can you see that? So by the time I sew it down, I have my iron it down. So I'll quickly iron it down, and then we'll be back to sew both front and back together.